Hi, Royce here, and once again, thank you for joining us tonight at our YouTube channel, Royce in the House, and the playlist Vinyl Album Unboxing. Tonight we're going to unbox one of my all-time favorite guitar heroes, virtuoso to the max, and everybody's kind of learned something from Eric Clapton. Eric Clapton is a fantastic guitar player. Based in the blues, he loved the blues, he grew up playing the blues. Played in blues bands, and we're going to start out by showing something that it's kind of got a silly album cover. We're not just going to show Eric Clapton's solo albums. We're going to show albums and unbox albums of bands that he played with, famous bands that he played with. And we're going to start out with something a little bit silly here. The name of it's a little silly. It's the Yardbirds. The Yardbirds were one of the greatest bands to come to the United States that were part of the British invasion. And this is kind of a silly name here, Golden Eggs. And what made the Yardbirds such a great band? I mean, the songs were heavy for the time, much more than most of the other bands that came over. But they had Jimmy Page at one time played for them. Jeff Beck at one time played for them. The two of those guys, Jimmy Page and Jeff Beck, played at the same time with the Yardbirds, if you can imagine that. Great songs, too. And also Eric Clapton played with the Yardbirds. I love this band. I've got 3 or 4, I think it's 4 Yardbirds albums. They're fantastic. They've got some great songs. But what's interesting, and the reason I wanted to unbox this one to start the Eric Clapton show off was because of what's on the back. This shows where all the well-known artists of the Yardbirds went. How they traveled from band to band, where they wound up, different bands they played with. So right here, the show's focus is Eric Clapton, one of the greatest guitar legends of all time, and continues to be. Eric Clapton is right here. Here's a picture of Eric Clapton, and here the graph takes off and shows you where he goes and what bands he plays in. Eric Clapton, he played with John Mayall's Blues Breakers. I used to have that album. Unfortunately, I don't have it now. I want to get it, though. It's John Mayall and the Blues Breakers, a blues band featuring Eric Clapton. It's a great album. Highly recommended. John Mayall's Blues Breakers. He played with them in 1965. And then Eric Clapton and the Powerhouse Trio, they call it, Stevie Winwood and Paul Jones. They call this the Powerhouse. Eric Clapton and the Powerhouse. Okay. Then he came down and he was in the band Cream. The Cream was fantastic. He was Eric Clapton, Ginger Baker, who was considered the greatest rock drummer at the time, Ginger Baker, and Jack Bruce, excellent voice and bass player and keyboarder. So anyway, so he went to the Cream. And he came back over here. He did some sessions with Mothers of Invention. You might be familiar with Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention, but it was just Mothers of Invention. He did some sessions with them. Then he came down here. He did some sessions for Aretha Franklin. And then he had the band Blind Faith. And I have that here. I'm going to unbox Blind Faith tonight. My older brother, Robin, bought me that Blind Faith album for my 16th birthday, and I'm going to unbox that tonight. Then he did some work with the Plastic Ono Band, believe it or not, Delaney, Bonnie, and Friends. Then him and George Harrison worked together. He played on a George Harrison song, While My Guitar Gently Weeps, and then George Harrison returned the favor. We'll talk about that later. A lot went on between Clapton and Harrison, believe me. Okay, so George Harrison sessions. Then he started solo albums, and Derek and the Dominoes was a huge solo album. And we'll talk about that. I don't have Derek and the Dominoes tonight, but we'll talk about it a little bit later. Some of the songs that were on it, like Layla and Bell Bottom Blues and things like that. So let's take a look at the Yardbirds Golden Eggs, okay? Let's pull the vinyl out and see what it looks like, see what kind of condition it's in. Okay. The Yardbirds, sleeve looked good. Oh, well, look at this. What do you know? super clean, no scratches, no scuffs. Turn it around. Once again, I can't find scratches, scuffs, marks, anything wrong with this vinyl. Okay, so this is the Yardbirds Golden Eggs. Okay, so we'll read the songs. We'll start on side one first. Sorry. Okay, Stilled Blues. Everybody in the Yardbirds loved the blues. Whether it was Clapton, Page, Beck, they were all bluesmen. Okay, Still Blues, Putty in Your Hands, Mr. Zero, No Excess Baggage. I think we've all used that term before. Think About It, Stroll On, The Naz Are Blue, Knowing, and Little Soldier Boy. Okay, that was side one. These are old songs. These are mid-'60s, so you may not be familiar with some of them. Some of the Yardbirds albums, I'm much more familiar with some of the songs. Like, well, we'll talk about it later. But okay, side two on Golden Eggs is Puzzles, Stealing, Stealing, Sweet Music, Ha Ha Said the Clown, Rack My Mind, 10 Little Indians, and Good Night, Sweet Josephine, and Glimpses. Okay, so that's the Yardbirds, Golden Eggs. Let's get that put back in its cover. I've never, I recently acquired this. It was given to me. I was doing a home inspection, and the woman was an artist, and she had an amazing bunch of artwork. She had 3 big kilns for melting glass and creating this fabulous glass that was all over her house. So much that you couldn't even hardly walk through the house, and that's no exaggeration. But anyway, so I thought, I'll bet she's got vinyl, because she was selling the house and she was moving. That's why we were there doing a home inspection for the buyers. And I started noticing boxes of CDs and things like that. And I said, you don't have any vinyl records, do you? And she goes, well, I sent them all to my daughter, but I have one. I think it's the Birds. I go, Yardbirds, maybe? She goes, maybe the Yardbirds. Yeah, I'm not really that interested in the Birds, but the Yardbirds. She went and got this and brought it out. The Yardbirds, Golden Eggs. And look at the silly fox on the front. Inside the hen house, looking at the nest as the little birds are coming out. It's just really silly. So I was really grateful to her, because it actually was something to kick the show off with, because it had all the lineage of all the famous players in the band on the back. Okay, so that's the Yardbirds, Golden Eggs. Eric Clapton played with the Yardbirds. Then we're going to go to, this is actually my personal album from 16 years of age. And I love this album. I listen to it today. Of course, I've had this on 8-track. The very first 8-track I ever bought was the Cream Disraeli Gears. But I also had a vinyl player at the house, and I wanted to lay in bed and be able to listen to the vinyl. So I bought this. This is one of the early albums that I bought, actually, because when I got my car, it was all about 8 tracks, and then it was cassettes, and then CDs came out, and there was a long period of time where most people weren't buying vinyl anymore. I mean, people still loved what they had, but it was it faded from view, so to speak. So this is Disraeli Gears, and this is I'm going to have to call this one of my all-time favorite albums, be it album, CD, whatever. But I love every one of these songs. I've put this Disraeli Gears by the Cream. I've put this in my car and not taken it out for months out of the player. I mean, I love these songs. So it's Disraeli Gears. A lot of songs. You're going to recognize a lot of these songs. This album was huge. So we're going to, let's see, what do we got here? Okay, well, I'll pull the vinyl out. Typical sleeve showing other albums. Well, what do you know? We got Atco Records, The Cream, Disraeli Gears. And I'm going to stand back, try to get some light on the vinyl. I know this isn't a perfect way of showing you just how clean this vinyl is, but it's something, and I can vouch for this vinyl. It's really, In fact, everything I'm going to unbox tonight, everything I think I've unboxed on the previous 10 shows, has all been more or less pristine. So, okay, so the Creamed Israeli Gears. I'm going to read some of these songs. Side one first. Strange Brew. I love that song. It's a great song. And of course, everybody's heard this one. High school bands are still playing it. Marine bands are playing it. Sunshine of Your Love by the Cream. Strange Brew was a great song. Sunshine of Your Love was a huge hit. Everybody's still playing it. Okay, then we had World of Pain, Dance the Night Away, Blue Condition. Blue Condition was written by Ginger Baker, the drummer. And again, I mentioned this earlier, but he was considered the greatest rock drummer at one time, like around 68-ish. And I can remember a lot of the older guys talking about him and thinking he was the absolute best. He was a fantastic drummer. Okay, side two. I love this song, Tells of Brave Ulysses. Okay, and then the second song is, I can say it, SWLABR, Slavar. Okay. Okay, then We're Going Wrong, Outside Woman Blues. That's a great song. Take It Back. These songs, I mean, they're all good. You may not recognize some of the names. As many times as I've listened to it, I don't even recognize some of the names. But I recognize the first note of every song and all the way through. And then Mother's Lament. And this was a game changer for me. Up until the time that the Cream came out with Disraeli Gears, the first album, up to that point, I spent the previous year and a half listening to nothing but soul music. I loved soul music. Temptations, Otis Redding. Let's see. I've got a bunch of it over here. The Supremes and just on and on. I actually did a soul show not too long ago, but at that time, that's all I was listening to. And all of a sudden, I heard the Cream, and I just lost my mind. I immediately went down and bought an 8-track of the Cream, and it was this album, Disraeli Gears. That was my first 8-track I ever bought. I bought that and Creedence's Bayou Country at the same time. Those were my first 2 8-tracks for my car. Anyway, so this album, we have a long history together. This was my original album. 16 years old, I bought this album, and I've had it ever since. And it's still in good playable condition. I never get tired of it. I never ever get tired of these Clapton songs. And this is not just Clapton, of course. He had an amazing band here. It was just a power trio. There was only 3 of them. Okay, so that's Disraeli Gears. We have more Cream here because to me, that was some of Clapton's best work. Okay, so now we're going to unbox something that spans the whole Cream era, and that is Strange Brew, the best of the Cream. Strange Brew, the best of the Cream. Once again, same lineup, Eric Clapton, guitar, some vocals, Ginger Baker, the famous drummer, and Jack Bruce, the amazing, amazing singer. And he played other instruments as well, but he was just an amazing singer. Okay, so I tell you what, before we pull out the vinyl, I'm going to read some of these songs off. We're going to start with Badge. And there's an interesting story behind Badge. They were going to make their final, Cream was going to make their final album. And so everybody, all 3 members were tasked with writing their own song, okay? And the other guys got their songs done, Ginger Baker wrote his song, and Jack Bruce wrote his song. And Eric Clapton was like, I guess he was just kind of struggling getting his song done. So he went to his buddy's house, George Harrison, and said, hey, help me write a song, And he had played for Harrison on As My Guitar Gently Weeps. He played some lead guitar on that song of George Harrison's. It's kind of interesting because Harrison helped write Badge, but the record label would not allow George Harrison's name to go in the credits. And likewise, Clapton helped Harrison on the guitar How My Guitar Gently, While My Guitar Gently Weeps, excuse me. And their label, the Beatles label, would not allow Eric to go in the credits on that. So neither label wanted this other star, in the mix there. So anyway, so Badge is there's kind of an interesting story behind Badge, okay? So George Harrison's helping Eric Clapton write a song. And they're really kind of making light of it. It's like, they're not even being serious. They're just trying to throw something together. And they're kind of feeling a little cocky too, like anything they do is going to be a hit, because everything they do sells and the public wants it, So they're sitting there, and George Harrison's sitting there penning lyrics, and a lot of these lyrics came from a drunken Ringo Starr, conversations with a drunken Ringo Starr, and it was just off the wall stuff. Nothing even made sense, So Harrison's sitting there, penning some lyrics, and Eric goes, "Well, what do you got so far?" And they were both throwing things out. And he goes, and he looks and he goes, "Well, what, you got a name for it?" And so Harrison pointed to the middle of the page, and it said Bridge. But because it was upside down, Clapton read it, and he goes, "Badge." And he started laughing. He goes, "What's Badge?" And so they actually changed the name from Bridge to Badge, just because Clapton read it wrong, looking at it upside down. So that's kind of a silly story. And there's a part in the song about swans, that they live at the park. And that was something a drunk Ringo threw out while they were working on this. And they go, "Good idea, Ringo." And they wrote it in. And then there was another part about marrying a girl named Mabel, somebody's son marrying a girl named Mabel. And Ringo threw that out when they were stuck. And they go, "Thank you." And they wrote that in. And they just started throwing things in. I think it wound up like number 18 on the charts, Badge. So that's a silly story about Badge. There's a lot to say about, Eric Clapton and George Harrison. Eric Clapton fell in love with Pattie Boyd, George Harrison's wife. And, it just triggered a whole thing. But we'll get to some of that later. So that was Badge. Then there's Sunshine of Your Love. Crossroads, famous blues song. I think it was originally done in like 1936 by a bluesman. I can't think of his name right now. Sorry about that. But it was 1936 that song was written. And it was about an average blues guitar player who just wasn't getting anywhere. And he disappeared for a while, And Robert Johnson. I don't know how I could forget. I've got like 8 of his. I bought like a box set years ago, Robert Johnson. Anyway, they were all CDs. Anyway, there was he would travel around to the little towns, and he'd play blues in the clubs and bars, and he was just decent. It wasn't like a star or anything, but he was good. And he disappeared. Nobody saw him for like a year or two, and he came back, and he was just on fire. He just, he became a big star. And so and he also wrote the song Crossroads, but the song Crossroads had to do with going down to the crossroads and selling your soul to the devil for more guitar skills, So Eric Clapton did a great job on this song, Crossroads. Fantastic playing. It was Robert Johnson, and this was on the Cream album, Wheels of Fire. That was one of the Cream albums, Wheels of Fire. And so that's when Eric Clapton played it. Another one of my favorite Cream songs is White Rooms. White Rooms is a great song. I highly recommend, if you're not familiar with the Cream, go buy the greatest hits like this one here, so you can get all the best songs. But I've not found a song by the Cream that I don't like. Okay, White Rooms is an awesome song. And so is the next one, Born Under a Bad Sign. And originally that was Booker T. A lot of these old blues songs, of course, they weren't originals. Then you have Strange Brew. I love that song too. And that was by Eric Clapton. And Anyone for Tennis. That was kind of a Cream original. That was a pretty silly song. I liked it though. Politician. That was another one, like I Feel Free, or like Anyone for Tennis. I Feel Free, great song. And Spoonful, which was a Willie Dixon song. That's a great song too. I'll never forget walking into my heating and air conditioning contractor's shop, and he was in, his office with some customers talking. So I just hung out in the shop. They were in there for about 20 minutes. And these songs kept playing. These old blues songs kept playing. And three in a row were Led Zeppelin songs. So Dan finally come out, and I go, Dan, who's this blues cat singing the Led Zeppelin songs? And he looked at me and laughed. And this was years ago. He goes, Royce, Led Zeppelin sang his songs. These are the originals, you know. So there was a lot of stuff borrowed, some of it stole, yeah, from old blues artists, American blues artists. I mean, they made some great music, and you know the sound was upgraded a little bit, more upbeat, more rockish. But it was those old blues songs in many cases with all these guys. The Stones did it, Led Zeppelin did it. Jimmy Page laughed about it and was happy to pay the royalties when he got called out on it. Had a whole bunch of, you know, old blues songs, and he paid the royalties for them too. And of course Eric Clapton, all our modern blues guys. I mean, they've all taken from the old blues songs. So anyway, so Spoonful was the last one, and there's some great pictures on the back of this too. You know, you've got the three-piece power trio right here. Well, three-piece power trio in every single picture. But this kind of lists the original Cream releases. You had Fresh Cream, Disraeli Gears, Wheels of Fire, and Goodbye. And we will unbox one more Cream album. Okay, so that's the lineup there of Cream songs. We got to look at the vinyl now. Cream albums. Okay, here we go. Cream, Strange Brew, side 1. Yeah, this is great stuff right here. RSO, manufactured and marketed by Polygram Records. Polygram, okay. New York, New York. All right, we'll put this away now. It's hard to beat the music that any of these bands Eric Clapton was in. It's just hard to beat them. He was in great bands, and he contributed to how great the bands were. All right, I know this opens up on one side, and I want to just put this away before we go on because, you know what? I'm just going to put it away. Deal with it later. Okay, now I told you I had one more Cream album. Like I said, this is some of Clapton's best work. This was a great band, an all-time favorite of mine. I love this band. And this was their final album. This is the one where all three guys were tasked with coming up with a song, and Clapton tapped his buddy George Harrison. And so this was Goodbye Cream. They named it Goodbye because it was their final album. Before this even came out, Eric Clapton had moved on to his next band, and they were already creating music. So this is Goodbye Cream. Look at these guys. Oh my gosh. Look at redheaded Ginger Baker in the front, and then Clapton in the middle, and then Jack Bruce on the back. These guys were great. I mean, these were the best. These were the best at the time. This has really good songs on it. I really like a lot of these songs. And of course, since we did unbox the greatest hits, you know, or the best of the Cream, there's always going to be some duplications having done that. But so let's get the vinyl out here so we can look at it and talk about it, okay? So here we have, let's go, we'll read the songs first this time. We've got Goodbye Cream, side 1, I'm So Glad. I really remember that song. I'm so glad, I'm so glad, I'm glad, I'm glad, I'm glad. Sounded much better than that, but the next one was Politician, which was just on their greatest hits. It was a good song, Politician. Okay. And we'll go to side 2, and got Sitting on Top of the World. And of course, Badge, the one George Harrison wrote with Eric, that was supposed to be Bridge, but they were just throwing things together. Wound up going way up the charts. Thanks to Ringo. Okay. Doing That Scrapyard Thing. And What a bring down. I mean, who wants to be brought down, right? This is a really good, there are no bad Cream albums. This was a great album. I love the Bad Story. Okay. Now, we're going to go to an album my brother bought me. My older brother bought me this album. Now, this was the band that Clapton put together when he left Cream, this next unboxing. And he was actually working with them before this even came out. They were actually working on a record already. So that band is, okay, let's go over here. That band is the first record my brother ever bought me, Blind Faith. This was a terrific lineup. If you're at all familiar with, say, Traffic, you have Stevie Winwood. And Clapton was told about Stevie Winwood. You got to hear this guy sing. Skinny little freckle-faced, redheaded guy. He's got the most bluesy voice you've ever heard in your life. You've never seen anything like this. So people were telling Clapton things like that about Stevie Winwood. And so Stevie Winwood, right here, fantastic voice. This is just a great, great album. And then here's, of course, Ginger Baker again from the Cream, back on drums. And Eric Clapton and Rick Greck, okay? So Gold Record Award. This was a big thing here. And let's see what we can find out on the back. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and read some songs off the back because there's some little notes here. Well, actually, it's all the words to the songs. But Had to Cry Today by Stevie Winwood. Can't Find My Way Home. That's a really great, great song. And that's a really bluesy, almost haunting lyrics. Can't Find My Way Home, sung by Stevie Winwood. Stevie Winwood was great, great. He went on to do many other things. He was actually even playing on stage the night Prince did his solo, the night he was inducted into the Hall of Fame. And George Harrison's son, Danny, was playing next to Tom Petty. And you had, Jeff Lynne, was there playing. Just an all-star lineup. And maybe people didn't know it, but Stevie Winwood was sitting there in the middle of that lineup playing the keyboards. Stevie Winwood was there playing the keyboards. He's really good at a lot of different things. Okay, so Can't Find My Way Home. I love that song. Well, All Right. That's a great song, too. And then we go to Presence of the Lord. That's a cool song, The Presence of the Lord. Finally found a way to live, just like I never could before. I know that I don't have much to give, but I can open any door. I mean, it's real. The lyrics are awesome on this, In the Presence of the Lord. Okay, then you go to side 2, and there's Sea of Joy, sung by Stevie Winwood. Do What You Like by Ginger Baker. That was Ginger Baker did that one. And that's a 15-minute and 20-second song, Do What You Like. Because Ginger really got into it. Anyway, Blind Faith. This is, I mean, I love this. Not only was it a gift from my older brother, who died in his 40s, 10 months from the death of my sister, 10 months after my sister died, both in their 40s. But, so that's always, this and Sgt. Pepper's are huge to me when it comes to my older brother. Because we used to go out to my brother's house. I wasn't even old enough to drive yet. We'd hitchhike out there and maybe smoke a little something. And we'd listen to Sgt. Pepper's. We'd listen to Eric Clapton. We'd listen to Magical Mystery Tour. All stuff my brother loved this stuff, And, I had one friend that was, 5 or 6 months older than me, one of my best friends. He would drive us out much of the time. But oftentimes we just stand out on Boulder Highway in Henderson, Nevada, and hitchhike to Las Vegas where my brother lived. And listen to music. So that's when I really got close to my brother. And so he bought me this 16th birthday. I have his original Sgt. Pepper's. I was looking at it again the other night. The cover is really tattered, but it still plays really good. And like I said, he loved the Beatles. He loved the Beatles. He loved Eric Clapton. He loved Cream. He loved Blind Faith. All the stuff I like, he loved. So anyway, we'll put Blind Faith away now, and we'll move on to some Clapton solo work. I'm going to move on to some Clapton solo work. And I'm trying to prepare some more shows. I should have tilted this a little more. I've got some pretty cool stuff back there. I've got, of course, Purple Rain, and I've got a few Jethro Tull albums. I love Jethro Tull. I saw him in concert in Las Vegas when I was a teenager. And where do you see a guy that's like, I don't know, 6'7" or something, long hair, the front man playing the flute all night long? I mean, you never see anything like this in your life. What a show. And we loved him. Aqualung was his biggest album. I don't have that yet, but I've got a few other Jethro Tull albums. I've got original pressing of Michael Jackson's Thriller, along with a sequence glove, a hat, microphone, and a couple of sequence socks. I was going to make a video moonwalking with this playing, but it's not quite coming back to me like I thought it was going to come back to me from back in the day. And then I've got some, Pink Floyd over here, Dark Side of the Moon, and I got this Soul Station, by Paul Stanley, frontman for Kiss. Cars album. Well, these 3 boxes are full of vinyl, and there's a box back there and a stack next to it. So I'll be busy for a while doing this. Anyway, so we want to do some Eric Clapton solo stuff now. Now, the reason I'm calling this Eric Clapton Part 1, it's just like with the Beatles, the Beach Boys, and some of the Rolling Stones. There's such a massive amount of body of work out there. You could do 3 or 4 or 5 shows and not cover it all. So, I mean, I'm not getting as much Clapton blues as I would like, I've got a CD. I brought it in here the other night, and it was called From the Cradle. After Clapton got sidetracked a little bit, a little more popish, it was good for sales. And then all of a sudden he came out with From the Cradle. And the whole idea of the words From the Cradle is every song was a tremendous blues song on that album. And that's why I was like, what he was trying to say is, this is me from the cradle. I was always into the blues. He did come out with the Lay Down Sallies and I Shot the Sheriffs and, and things like that. And they weren't real bluesy, but he just wanted everybody to know that he is a bluesman at heart. So the first one I'm going to show is Eric Clapton, 461 Ocean Boulevard. Eric Clapton, 461 Ocean Boulevard. And a picture of a house, house with a palm tree. Could be Florida, could be somewhere in Los Angeles. I don't know, maybe somewhere in England, I don't know. But anyway, it's a great cover. And here's Eric sitting in a chair playing an acoustic guitar. Who could forget the Eric Clapton Unplugged at MTV acoustic guitar sessions, with Tears in Heaven and some of the other songs, even Layla, acoustic Layla. Who knew that anybody could ever do Layla acoustically and you'd wind up liking it as much as you did on the electric guitar? Because that's a fantastic song. And it also has to do with Pattie Boyd, George Harrison's wife that Eric Clapton fell in love with and actually married for a while later. After George was, George catted around a lot. He's a popular man. He's a Beatle. Women were throwing themselves at him. So he had multiple affairs and things like that. And so Pattie eventually left him. But before she left him, Eric Clapton had already fallen in love with her. And that's where the whole album, Derek and the Dominoes, was almost like he didn't even want to. I don't know what his thinking was. But instead of naming it, Eric Clapton and the Dominoes, it was Derek and the Dominoes. And Derek was Eric Clapton, And some of his best work, they say, was inspired by his love for Pattie Boyd, who initially rejected his, advances. But anyway, so that's a fantastic album. Like I said, Bell Bottom Blues. She asked him to pick up some bell bottoms for her when he went someplace. He wrote the song Bell Bottom Blues about Pattie Boyd. Layla, one of the, maybe his signature song, really. Layla's just, crazy good. Anyway, Layla was written about Pattie Boyd. And that whole album, some of his best work centered around his love for Pattie Boyd, George Harrison's ex-wife, which Kind of an interesting story. So anyway, Eric Clapton, 461 Ocean Boulevard. Let's pull the vinyl out. Well, first, I love the gatefolds. You got to show the gatefolds when you get them. These are just so much fun. You got the little film clips here and different pictures of Eric and some girls, and I don't know who they are, but anyway, let's see if we can get you any closer to some of these pictures. They're pretty cool. Look at Eric, looking good. Good looking guy. So anyway, so all the songs are in here, and I think I'll read them from the gatefold, you know, and then we'll pull the vinyl out and see what kind of condition it's in. Okay, so let me tilt this back a little ways this way, so I'm not off to the side of the camera so much. Okay, first song, Motherless Child. That's a really good song, Motherless Child. Second song, Give Me Strength. Also, love that song. I really like this song. It's pretty silly too. Willie and the Hand Jive. That's an oldie. Willie and the Hand Jive. That's great. Let me see if I can find out who originally did that. No, I'm not gonna. They're not saying that here. Okay. Get Ready by Eric Clapton. This is great. Everybody's heard this song. I really like this. It's reggae. You know, it's to a reggae beat. I Shot the Sheriff. Eric Clapton doing I Shot the Sheriff, but I didn't shoot the deputy. Sheriff James Brown always hated me. For what? I don't know. Every time I plant a seed, he'd say, kill it before it grow. So I shot the sheriff. I can understand that. Makes perfect sense. Okay. Side 2. I Can't Hold Out. Please Be With Me. Let It Grow. I think he's talking about love, not pot. Steady Rolling Man. Steady Rolling Man. That's interesting. And Mainline, Florida. Okay, so this is Florida. This is Florida. Looks like Florida. Mainline, Florida. Okay, so that's it. So really good songs. Motherless Child, Give Me Strength. Those are really good songs. Willie and the Hand Jive. I Shot the Sheriff, reggae. And he does a really good job on that too. I love the way he plays the reggae guitar. Okay, so that's great. Let It Grow. That's a really cool song. Very nice. We're going to pull out the vinyl cover. Okay, well, look at that. I got Goat's Head Soup right there. And I got Led Zeppelin up here. Bee Gees Volume 2. I must have 7 or 8 Bee Gees albums. I'm going to have to do that before long. Buffalo Springfield. The James Gang. I love the James Gang. What else we have on here? This is cool. Let's see. Oh, Rolling Stones, Sticky Fingers. How did I miss that? Jay Giles Band. Great blues band, the Jay Giles Band. I loved Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. I found this album the other day in a antique store, and I pulled a vinyl out, and the album cover looked. Usually, it's the cover that's thrashed, and oftentimes you get lucky with the vinyl. But I pulled the vinyl out, and it was thrashed, and the cover was beautiful. You know, I couldn't buy it on the cover. I want to be able to listen to this stuff. I'm not just buying it to show it on the show. Well, listen to it. Okay, Led Zeppelin 4, Bee Gees, Dr. John, Eric Clapton's Rainbow Concert. So yeah, there's cool stuff on this label. I like that. Sleep. Here's the label. That's the sleeve. Okay, Eric Clapton, 461 Ocean Boulevard. I shot the sheriff, but I didn't shoot the deputy. That song gets stuck in your head, you know. It's like Little Deuce Coupe or something. You know? Okay, so that's Eric Clapton, 461 Ocean Boulevard. A lot of nice songs on this. I mean, I actually can't wait to do another Eric Clapton unboxing, but I've got so many others to do first. But I'll get back to it. I'll do more Stones, more Clapton, more Beach Boys. I mean, there's just so much good music out there by these bands that, again, you know, you can't unbox 20 albums in one show. So, got to spread it around a little bit. Okay, now this one has not been opened yet. Let me get a little knife here. Okay, has not been opened yet. More of a recent acquisition. Eric Clapton. Great picture of him. Okay, let's take a look on the back. Here he is, complete with price tag. Nobody has all this vinyl without adding to it, and you have to add to it because some of this stuff is so cool that they're making today, you know. So Eric Clapton, again, this is kind of a little compilation. You will hear some of the songs that we've either read before or we've talked about, and but let's go ahead on this time. It's a great picture on the back too, Eric Clapton. I can keep the glare off of it. Let's go ahead and pull the vinyl out this time because I know there's something special about this vinyl. What do you know? Translucent gold. That's why we have to continue to add, because there's some stuff out there that's so cool, you know. I mean, I see all these new Kiss albums out there, and I got to be honest, I was never a big Kiss fan. It kind of missed me along with some of the other stuff, but I'm actually becoming one, you know. And I'll see these Kiss albums, and they're all in color and colored vinyl, and the colored vinyl, I mean, it's just fun stuff. I mean, look at this. Translucent gold, see-through gold. I mean, that is just, that's beautiful. And of course, I just took it out. It's perfect. I think I'll play it as soon as the show's over. Okay, so you've heard some of these songs before. Well, Lay Down, Sally. Lay down, Sally. Da, 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 da. Okay, now this was I mentioned this earlier. Again, George Harrison's wife, Patty Boyd, Clara Clapton, madly in love with her. Bell Bottom Blues, he wrote that for Patty Boyd. She asked him, he was going someplace to play, and she said, well, when you're over there, will you buy me a pair of, I think he was going to America, and they were in England. Will you buy me a pair of American bell bottoms? And so he wrote the song, Bell Bottom Blues, for Patty. And Let It Rain, what a cool song. Let it rain, let it rain. Okay, and then here is like one of my favorite, it may be my favorite, Clapton song, and it's maybe the song he's most known for, you know, individual song he's most known for in his entire body of work, and that's Layla. And that song is about Patty Boyd. Layla, you've got me on my knees, Layla. Yeah, no, and this is, and it says it right here, this was from the album Derek and the Dominoes. That whole album was inspired, once again, by Patty Boyd. Okay, so that's interesting. Okay, once again, we have I Shot the Sheriff on this one as well as the last one. Great song. I mean, that's a fun song to listen to. After Midnight, that's a good song too. And like I said, some of these solo albums, he kind of got away from his blues roots. That's why he came back strong afterward with the blues. So I'm going to promise that my next unboxing of Clapton is going to include a lot of blues work, because he's got a lot of it out there. And I think we all need to hear about it. Okay, so After Midnight, like I said, great song. Now, I love this song. This has been covered by so many people, including Guns N' Roses, I think on Use Your Illusions too. Knocking on Heaven's Door. Bob Dylan. So many people have done this. Knock, knock, knocking on heaven. Okay, how does that start out? Ma, put these guns in the ground. I can't use them anymore. Anyway, it's a great song. Don't count on me to make it sound familiar. Not tonight anyway. I'll do better next time. A little bit maybe. Okay, so that's Knocking on Heaven's Door. Now, this is my wife's favorite Eric Clapton song, and I've never met a woman that doesn't absolutely love this song. It is a fantastic song. Wonderful Tonight, you know. You've all heard that. She puts on her makeup, and then I say to her, you look wonderful tonight. It's just that I tried to play it on the guitar a few years ago when I was in one of my little guitar practice modes before I quit for another 5 years, you know. And which is my typical MO, you know, 1 year on, 5 years off, 1 year on, 5 years off. So always in the same place I was. I'm like 14 years old. Anyway, that's my problem. So that's Wonderful Tonight. I recommend, especially the women. I mean, I love it, but I mean, especially the women. If you want to hear a song that you haven't heard before that has a good chance of becoming your favorite song today, you need to hear, I mean, go on YouTube and do a search, you know, for the video. Eric Clapton doing Wonderful Tonight. It is an amazing song. You're going to love it. You will absolutely love it. Okay, and then the final song, which, I mean, I like this song, and I don't want anybody to think it's for other reasons than just the fact that I love this song. It's a great, great guitar song. I mean, I used to play the opening riff, you know. Da, 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 da. And I'm talking about the song Cocaine, right? This is a fantastic, I mean, it's one of my favorite, honestly, one of my favorite Clapton songs, Cocaine. It's a great song. It's just, I can't say enough about it. It's what Wonderful Tonight is to women, to the guys, I think, you know. A great song. Cocaine. If you want to hang out, you gotta take her out. Cocaine. Da 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 da. Ridiculous. Anyway, it's a great song. So this is a fun album, you know. Hey, I'm not too proud. $22 at Walmart. Translucent colored vinyl. And great, great songs, okay? So anyway, that's the unboxing tonight. I actually have twice that much Eric Clapton, but you know what? I want to save some of it for other shows, and I want to add to it for the other shows too. There's just so much out there, and I want to bring more of his blues work in when I do a part 2, and there may be a 3 and a 4 on some of them, like Clapton and the Rolling Stones, the Beach Boys. I mean, you know, there's just so much. They have so much work out there. There's so much, and you don't want to do it all in one show. You know, you just burn everybody out on it. Nobody will stay for the finale. You know, it's just too much. So anyway, once again, thank you for joining the show. This is our vinyl unboxing number 11. Every Saturday night at 7 p.m., we're going to unbox vinyl of a new artist. And eventually we may have a little podcast where I have guests on, and we have more going on than just the vinyl unboxing, which I think is fun, but we may want to be doing a little bit more at the same time. So we're working on that. It's going to take some time. And, you know, this is Royce in the House and the playlist Vinyl Unboxing. You can find us every Saturday night. But also, all of these shows are available. You can go to Royce in the House, playlist Vinyl Album Unboxing, and watch any of these shows. They're all there all the time, always available. And please, if you can, hit the thumbs up button, and that would be greatly appreciated. So that's what's going on in Royce's world tonight. And thank you very much for joining us. Okay.